I lost you there for a moment. Don't know if the battery's going dead. I don't see how. I charge it all the time, but like I was saying, I started prepping it because I want everything to look fresh. So before I go any further and see this thing turn off again, I'm going to go get the plug and plug it in so that I know it'll stay charged. So stand by. All right, I'm back, and here's the plug. I didn't want the camera to turn off on me. I noticed it was still on, but not actually, obviously not recording. But all right, there we go. So as I was saying, we wanted to make it look fresh. Hopefully, what I was saying earlier, how she wants the new stuff in. So we did order a brand new one. We actually ordered it from Jegs. It was the only company that would give us what we wanted. We wanted a certain profile that this car needs, considering what was in it. So in the meantime, certain marks taking place, and I will fix them, and I will respray the firewall and part of the inner fender slash part fender, whatever that is considered as a one-piece unit. I will be spraying that again and making it look fresh. That's important. This car has gone through enough, and I want to make sure it stays looking fresh. And I'm just in the process now of covering everything before I start prepping all this sanding and doing the little fill-ins that I'm going to do, and kind of go from there and just make it look really nice. So a lot of the stuff is out of the way, and there goes my roll of tape. And it's amazing. It'll roll a mile just to get out of your way. It's just amazing. Certain things. All right, so I don't even know if I should take this rod out of the way. I don't want to mess this up here in the front, making it wiggle or waggle. So I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to finish covering. I got to get it up underneath the car so I can tape it so that nothing blows underneath the car. All this has to be all sealed up, all inside the engine bay area, and go on from there. Yep, that's the plan. So I guess I'm doing a video on this. It's going to be, like I said, a Mopar engine, a 360 with a high-rise manifold, new carburetor, all that stuff that belongs in this car to give it that profile that it so deserves instead of a Chevy 350. So in the meantime, I'm going to get back to this, get everything all covered up the way I need to have it covered, and then start sanding. And then when it comes to the final, to where I'm going to be spraying it, then I'll finish covering the rest of it so no overspray gets on the car. So in the meantime, stand by. Okay, I'm back. There are certain areas that I wanted to fill in, make it part of the fiberglass that was formed whenever this kit was made. And I used the fiberglass to fill in the areas that I didn't like because of the way this thing was fitted and the adjustments that were made so that it flowed better. It left like a hole at the top part where it would go to the top of the frame. So I never liked that, but it had to go in the direction it is for all this to line up. So between this side and that side having the same problem, I took the opportunity, knowing that I'm going to freshen a lot of this up, to fill it in with the fiberglass filler. So fiberglass to fiberglass, I get to show you what I'm talking about. And let me unplug this. Hopefully it stays like that, charged up. So this area here, there was a big slot for where that bolt would go through, and I filled it in with fiberglass. So I'll take a, um, a glaze and freshen that up. But before I do that, I'll have all this other stuff taped off that I don't want to have anything get on it. Kind of like what I did over here to this side. This side had a small section, not as big as the opposite side, but at least now, once this is painted, it'll look like it was a part of it, not a chunk missing or whatever, and seeing part of the frame. So that's what I decided to do there. I filled in these other holes. These two will be used again. Those two will not be used again, but I used a fiberglass filler on them, and I will take a glaze over all these other fine line cracks that showed up. It's kind of normal considering this is flexible sheet of fiberglass that they incorporated in front of the old firewall that exists from the 33 Coupe. So I'm not surprised to see these, but if I can make them a little bit better, that's the whole object, considering I'm painting the whole firewall over again anyway. So that's the scoop on that. And I also, let me go around the other side, prepped, and I'm waiting for some glaze I have to pick up tomorrow and just do a light film over that, and then finish sanding the rest of that there, cover everything off, and get ready to paint and blend in. So these areas that have the marks will be nice and fresh, won't look like it's been damaged or anything like that. So that's the goal. That's what I'm doing. And I did get underneath the car and tape that paper all up into the firewall. There's a big space there between this new, I'm sure it's fiberglass sheet, and the original actual 33 Coupe. It kind of goes at an angle, and there's a lot of room between this arch and I think up to about here. So I was able to get up in there with some tape and make sure that that's all sealed off, so when I go to paint it, and before I paint, all this will be covered. All of this stuff will be covered. The whole car will be covered. But I'll make sure I can get in there and do a nice job spraying it. So tomorrow is another day. That's the plan, to move forward with some glaze and then some primer, and then sand it, maybe a little bit more primer on top of that, make sure it's really nice. I will have to sand, I'm going to sand all this with 400 before I do any primer. And then once the primer is on those spots, I'm not shooting the whole thing in primer, just those areas. And the final sand on the primed areas will be in 600. Then I'll put some sealer over it and then shoot the color. I believe tomorrow it's a good possibility. I should have it in color, but keeping in mind it takes a lot of time to cover all this, tape this off with paper, and make sure everything is out of the way. It's not so simple. It's not a 5-minute job. So, but until tomorrow, peace out. Puss in Boots. Yes, kitty meow. Meow. when she was in her complex, and great that she was in her complex, based about what I'm about to tell you, she lost her brakes. The pin came out inside the cabin. Don't know how the heck that happened. Came out of place because it latches up and around. It's a two-part setup, and I redid it, and then I put mechanics wire around it so that wouldn't happen again. But when she lost the brakes, they have those concrete stoppers, and she came into it, she wasn't accelerating. She realized she lost her brakes prior. She didn't have any, so she was trying to get it to slow down, and she hit the concrete stopper, went up and over, went into the bushes that were right ahead, solid ones at that. Then she got it in reverse, came back, hit it again, and then she was going back too far, went in the drive, and went back over for the third time. Yeah, that was sad. So I actually drove down there, looked at her situation there, and it was pretty bright and sunny. But I noticed that there was some other damage. Actually, noticing it today. I think I did point out something that she did, but it did cause another issue that soon later I ended up fixing. But unfortunately, fiberglass doesn't hold up like metal does on something like that. But for the most part, it's going to look fresh again, and that's the whole idea of going over the firewall again. And now all this stuff is out of the way. So we put the engine in it. Nothing will be in the way of it going nice and smooth. And I decided to take the other rod out because I noticed that between the chuck and the rods into the hood, it took some of the paint off here on the bracket that comes out. So I was taking care of that just like I was doing on the other side. So I'm going to get some primer on it because another client will be here very shortly around 3 o'clock. And I want to make sure at least that is on there and that this is ready to go for sanding. So until then, stand by. Okay, I'm back, and I don't know if the voice was working before about using the finer filler glaze, as it's called. And I have everything. I had to glaze that, sand it, and then I had it prepped for the primer, which I just got done spraying, as you can see. And I'm probably going to throw more away than I actually used. And I mixed the limited amount that I could possibly mix. So all that's all said and done. Definitely have to wait for it to set up and dry. Ooh, dummy, I just put my arm in that. Now I'm going to have to spray that again. So let me go get the gun. Oh, brother. Well, here we go. Good thing it's only primer. Oh, yeah. Yep, there's plenty on there. Nothing to worry about. This is a thick, heavy, real thick, heavy primer, and actually takes a 2.0 tip really to spray it well. And it does a heck of a job. I really like this stuff. And it sands really nice and easy. So until it dries, can't do much and anything else on that aspect. Then I'll sand it, and then I'll seal only those areas. I'm not going to be sealing the whole thing. It's a waste of material and a waste of time. And that little white spot right there, I'll put a little bit of sealer over that. And then I'll be able to color it, then put the gold pearl on it, and then clear it. Yep, but I'll have to do different prep work with the paper and tape in order to accomplish that. So until the next move, stand by. I'm back, and it's the next day. Just got done sanding the primer and sanding the rest of the firewall down, the inner part of that front fender, and the two latches for the hood. So I'm going to wipe it down, and I'm going to put sealer over all the gray areas. And then once that's set up, then I'm going to basically pull the paper back, roll it back, and then prep some more for blending purposes, especially around the areas where I had to, prime and so forth when it came to the side of the body. It would have been nice if I didn't have to come up here like this on this corner, then I could have just rolled the edge out and it would have made it a lot easier. But between that and then these pieces down here and those pieces over there, it's going to entail a lot more than, the obvious, which has to be done. Takes more time. And then I have to, start covering the rest of this because I don't want any overspray when it comes to the color and the gold pearl, and then especially the clear. The clear is the worst. I'll have to cover the rest of the car. So there's a lot of time with that. And then the covering in here mainly is probably going to be like a sheet and wrap it around there so that it just drops and flows in and covers everything, because it's just a matter of spraying that section over there and this firewall right here. It's time consuming and it's a lot of work, but in order to get the nicer job, you really got to take it that far. Like I mentioned yesterday, I want to keep it looking as fresh as possible, considering how much this car has gone through in a not really short period of time, but a comfortable amount of time. So I'm going to get moving on it and go from there, and can't wait till it being finished. And no doubt I'll probably have to do a little bit of buffing and making sure it's pretty. I noticed that the little black bolts here that have the support for the front fenders, that side was loose. So that came from her hitting the bush and also the concrete curb 3 times, like I mentioned. It did some damage. I'm going to point that out to her when she comes here to see it. And she knows about it, but I want to show it to her and go from there. And probably going to have to freshen up the black a little bit, maybe. Not really sure. Once it's clean and all this is done, I'll have to check it out. But until then, until I do the sealer, stand by. I am back. And hopefully you could see that the color is on there. I put 4 coats of color. 4. I wouldn't have had to do 4. And I'm glad I had enough leftover material to do 4 coats on this firewall and the inner fender. I didn't have enough of white sealer, is which I used before. I had very little white sealer left, so I had to mix it with a gray sealer just to make sure I had enough. So it wasn't gray, it was lighter. So that's why, well, I really didn't have to do the firewall 4 times, but I did it because I wanted to make sure I got the edges real good for the blending, and the top of the inner fender I had to get again. But there's 4 coats over the whole thing. I'm giving it enough flash time so that this way I can put the gold pearl on, and the gold pearl only gets one time coat. That's what I did when I sprayed it. That's all it's getting. I don't want it to stand out more than the rest because it has to blend in. And as you can see, it's also all covered up between blankets and sheets and additional paper, making sure that the overspray doesn't get at it. So I'm glad that it's gone as far as it has. Yep. I'm rolling back some of the tape just in case, so I can get the pearl up in there. I'm glad it's at the edge. That makes it so much easier. It really does. So much easier to blend it, because that corner right there, that's the line. So that's great. So hopefully you could see it and see it well. Let me bring you around. And I'm glad it's not raining. Got a little mist. It's keeping the dust down, the dirt down. Yeah. on the top there. So there you have it. So once I'm done spraying the pearl, I'll chime back in. So in the meantime, stand by. Okay, the pearl is on. The heat is on. One coat only. That's it. Yep. And I'm going to wait until Monday. Today's Friday. I won't have enough time, and the way the weather is, 48 hours would be awesome for this to flash. It's not too much time. The longer it flashes, the better. You basically get 7 days before you would have to use it as adhesive promoter or reshoot it. But Monday, I'll shoot the clear, and I'll have this prepped a little bit more to lay the clear out and so forth. So I'm really glad that much of it's done. It looks really nice. Yep, definitely will look fresh. That's the important part. So until Monday, have a great weekend. Peace out. All right, I'm back. It is Monday, and I just kind of want to give you a little background. I've been doing some improvements around here, well needed. As you can see, the floor. Main reason being is I don't like when I spill oil on the floor and I can't get the stain out, even though I wipe it up, whether it's oil, antifreeze, whatever it is. So I decided to take it a step further and layer down the epoxy floor. In the meantime, I just got done spraying the first clear coat on the coupe. I figured I would show that. I got a couple more to go. Might be hard to tell. It might be. But that's the first coat. Like I said, I got a couple more to go. So in the meantime, until it's actually all done being sprayed, stand by. All right, I'm back. And the final coat of clear has been laid down. It's 3 coats on there. Really, it turns out to be 6 because you're overlapping it more than 50%. But it's actually set up enough as to where I can actually touch it. I didn't want to do the video until all the fog has cleared from the overspray. So now that it is done, I'm going to start undressing it all and get all this covering off and let it do its thing. Let it flash and cure some more. But it turned out pretty nice. And it's really all I can ask for. You know, I think the color match worked out well. I might have to buff a little bit as far as when it comes to when you're blending. I did roll this back here so I can blend it a little bit easier. So much for that. I don't know if this is going to be the end of this particular video on this one. Probably so. Yeah, this way, I guess the next one will be when I go to put the new engine in. And no doubt we'll have to do some modifications for the other applications like the air conditioning and the alternator, because there is a Mopar 360 going in it. That's one of the biggest reasons why we yanked that 350 out. She wasn't happy with it, wants to be more dependable, and she feels as though that it would not be dependable. So that being said, you know what, this will end this video. I do appreciate people watching. If you have any comments, feel free to place one, whether good or bad. It's all good. And if you haven't subscribed yet, that'd be great too. So until the next video, have a great one. Thanks for watching.